What we're going to talk about tonight, I guess, is the reason that you're all here. We're going to talk about the paralegal profession, what a paralegal is, a little bit of the history and kind of where it's going in the future. We'll talk about paralegal education, what the requirements are today, and those also have been developed over a number of years. And then finally, once you decide you want to be a paralegal, you get properly trained, you will be working for a licensed attorney. So we're lucky enough to have with us a licensed attorney who formerly worked as a paralegal, who will be able to give you her perspective on what she has looked for and what qualities she appreciated in paralegals that she's worked with. What I start out with is this quote from Stephen Covey, because a lot of you are coming from a lot of different backgrounds, and you may have a lot of different reasons for pursuing paralegal education. Some of you may be just beginning your professional careers. You may have just graduated college, or you may be earning your first degree, but you're wanting to add a skill set to move forward. Others of you may be a career changer, a teacher tired of teaching, a nurse tired of nursing, a stay-at-home mom returning to the workforce. And still others may be beginning a third or later career. But what you all have in common is a desire to work within the law and as a paralegal. But what you have to know, or what you're needing, is the knowledge and the skill to be able to do that. Here at the Center for Advanced Legal Studies, our philosophy is to provide that knowledge and that skill. Learning to be a paralegal is similar to learning how to play an instrument or something of that nature. It's not something you just read the book and know. The things that you have to do. So if you read a book on how to play the piano, but you never practice, you may not get anywhere. But the more you practice, the better you get. So as you're coming through our program, you're going to be reading and learning and practicing, and you're bringing the desire to the table, and that will create the habit so that when you move forward with your area of law, then you'll be prepared to do the things you need to do. The first question that comes up often, and as you would think it would be an easy answer, is what is a paralegal? And a paralegal can be many different things to many different people. The definition we have here has been developed over a number of years, which is basically as someone who is qualified by education or training who performs work under the supervision of an attorney, basically work that would be otherwise be performed by an attorney. But what a paralegal is today can depend on more of the area in which an attorney who was trained that you ask. If an attorney was trained in the 60s or 70s, they might see a legal secretary. If they're trained in the 80s or 90s, they might see the paralegal in all their glory. If they were trained 2000 and beyond, they may actually see competition. How can all these people see the paralegal in so many different ways? And what it is basically the natural progression of the occupation. There are three things that have changed the occupation. One, it's the types of people who have to access legal services. 40 or 50 years ago, if you're rich, a businessman, or a criminal, you might need a lawyer. The rest of us, not so much. Today, in all our walks of life, we're having to access legal services directly or indirectly. It could be a child paternity, family law issue. It could be a business issue. It could be a tax issue. At the other end of life, it could be wills, trusts, and probate. So how do you get these services to the folks low cost just as efficiently? You may do that through the paralegal, who can do anything the attorney can do, but you cannot give advice, you cannot represent anyone in court, and you cannot charge service for fee. All the other things you can do. You can interview the client, not to advise, but to gather information. You can do the investigative work. You may do the research, prepare the documents. So when it lands on the attorney's desk, all he or she needs to do is drill down on an issue of law, advise the client, strategize on how to move forward. The second thing that's changed is technology. 20 years ago or more, we were typing things on a typewriter. Attorneys would write things out longhand when I first started out, and then we'd type it up, or they would do dictation. We'd go back and forth until we had a finished product. That was a heavy administrative lift. If you missed a comma, you had to retype the whole document. Today, We've been through several generations of Microsoft Office type products designed now specifically for law office operations. And it's that former administrator, that former secretary who made the move from the typewriter to the computer and became proficient in utilizing these tools. Today, so much so that the paralegal may be grabbing the case file first, doing an initial cut, then it goes to the attorney. The technology is allowing the paralegal today to do a lot of the tasks performed by an associate attorney 20 or 30 years ago. But the third thing that's changed, and most substantially, are billable hours. Attorneys want to make money. The way they do that, they bill their time out at the market rate. As the use of paralegals increased, they started billing paralegals at the market rate. But the question came up, what is a paralegal? That's what we kind of started with. This went up through the court system until the Supreme Court said it's right and proper to charge paralegals at the market rate, but you have to show they're uniquely qualified by virtue of education, experience, substantive legal work. What this has done is move the paralegal from being administrative overhead to a generator of revenue. And this is why the attorney today can see the paralegal in different ways, because if you're an attorney trained in the 60s or 70s, you may see that legal secretary. 80s or 90s, as the paralegal occupation progressed and matured, they've used them to their fullest extent until it comes to today when you're a recent a law school graduate, you're coming out and you're competing with the paralegal with some of the work that's being done, plus the paralegals are able to generate revenue. But what this has made is it more important for the paralegal to be formally trained, because to bill someone out the market rate, you're generally going to have to show that they're uniquely qualified by education, training, or experience, that they're working under a licensed attorney in a law office or corporate or government, and that they're performing work that would otherwise be performed by the attorney, but for efficiencies, the paralegal is performing the task. The part that we're going to concentrate on today is the education piece. What is required to work as a paralegal from the education perspective? What should you look for in a paralegal education? And for that, Mr. Doug Walker is going to give you a brief presentation on our education programs.
Thank you, James. Just so you all know, I started out my education career years ago. In my very first admissions position, I met a guy named Freddie. I actually met him at an oil change place where he asked me what I did for a living. So we kind of got into a conversation. I convinced him to come out and talk to me, and found out that he did want to try to continue his education. So he came into the school, and we worked through the enrollment process, and part of the process was for him to meet with our dean. And he met with the dean of education, and he told the dean something that's really stuck with me. He's told the dean, he said, you know, I changed Doug's oil, but he's changing my life. So he went from being someone at changing oil to actually working on his degree, and that's something that really stuck with me throughout the rest of my life, and it's helped me decide that I want to help others change their life for the better. And just like Freddie, your education will help you grow from where you are today to where you want to be in the future. So let's talk about our education process here. At the Center for Advanced Legal Studies, we have two different programs. We have an associate's degree of applied science in paralegal studies, and it is an associate's degree in paralegal studies. It's not a general degree. We also have the certificate program. We also offer both of these programs in two different platforms, on campus and online. Now, the associate's degree program is based on 62 credit hours. It consists of 7 general education classes, such as your English, math, science, psychology, speech, those courses that are required for most associate degrees at any university or college. It also consists of those 8 core legal classes that you'll take, plus there are 6 other elective legal classes. So you can see it's very heavily educated toward the legal side. Now, the certificate program is all law courses, and to be part of the certificate program, you have to have at least a bachelor's degree. There are 30 credit hours, and it consists of 6 core legal classes plus 4 elective legal classes as well. Now, once you speak to your admissions advisor personally, we're going to cover all those classes in more detail for you and let you know exactly what's available and what you'll be taking. Now with our two delivery platforms, you're going to see that there's different times for completion. And there's a couple of reasons for this. First of all, our term lengths. Our on-campus courses are based on a 6-week term, and our online courses are based on an 8-week term. The second reason for the difference in the amount of time is our on-campus, which goes along with the fact that it's a 6-week term. You will attend Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to noon each day, 2 classes per day. So it's very intensive, it's very strong on the education side. You're there in class at least 4 days a week for 2 different classes. Now the online is considerably different. You'll attend Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, 2 hours per class, 2 hours per evening via live webcam per class. Just like you're in right now. This is actually the classroom that you would be in, so that you have that activity with your instructor and your fellow students. So as a full-time student, you're required to take at least 2 classes, so that would be 2 hours on 2 different evenings each week. I also tell students to plan on at least 4 hours per week outside of the live interactive web training for tests, quizzes, research, homework, those other activities that you're going to have to perform as a student going to school. So online, you'll take 2 classes, which would be 4 hours of online interactive training per week, plus an additional 8 hours of additional asynchronous training outside of the classroom, or basically about 12 hours of schoolwork per week. Although the certification registration is not required upon graduation for the paralegal career field, both of our programs are structured to meet the minimum requirements for both the NALA, the Association of Legal Assistants and Paralegals, and the NFPA, the National Federation of Paralegal Associations, for certification or registration. So once you've completed your education program here, you'll be eligible to sit for either of those exams based upon your education. After you've completion of your education, you'll be ready for that first position, that first job that you'll be coming to start your paralegal career. So now I'm going to turn it over to Elaine, and Elaine is going to go through what you need to know from an attorney's perspective for that first job.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate that. As Doug and James mentioned, I am an attorney. So before I start my part of the presentation, I kind of want to tell you a little bit about my background. I started by getting my bachelor's degree, and then I went to paralegal school, and I worked briefly as a paralegal, continued on to law school, and then I practiced law for 20 years before I joined the Center for Advanced Legal Studies as an instructor. So, in my legal profession, I have experience being a paralegal student, an instructor of paralegals, a paralegal that's been supervised by an attorney, and an attorney supervising paralegals. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my portion of the presentation, and that is, what do lawyers expect of paralegals? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on a few essential skills that CALS will teach you and that you should continue to develop and refine during your career as a paralegal. And the first of these is communication skills. So we're going to talk about both written communication skills and verbal. You know, I've noticed since I've been an admission advisor, I always have new students come to me and they say, Elaine, I love the law. I can't wait to do legal research. I'm so excited about taking the legal research course. Now, don't get me wrong. Legal research skills are valuable. But when you go into that law office, attorneys are going to expect you to take that legal research material and write well-written memorandums and briefs. Writing skills are essential for paralegals to be successful. So when you're writing petitions, briefs, even letters, even emails, you want to make sure that you are writing properly constructed sentences, using correct spelling, and utilizing correct grammar and punctuation. So whatever you're writing, whatever it is that you're working on, make sure you proofread your work. Use spell check, check for grammatical and punctuation errors, and make sure that you're trying to use proper writing techniques. Now, next let's talk about those verbal skills. Communication will effectively cut down on misunderstandings and really will make you a more productive paralegal. First of all, don't be afraid to ask questions or ask your attorney to clarify something. If you're given an assignment and you don't understand what's expected of you, speak up, ask questions. You don't want your attorney to come to you 2 or 3 days later and say, hey, how are you doing on that assignment? And you say, oh, I didn't really understand what you wanted, so I haven't even started working on it yet. So you need to speak up. And most importantly, if you make a mistake or you miss a filing deadline, do not procrastinate. Don't try to hide or cover it up. Go and tell your attorney immediately. Explain to him what happened, and maybe the two of you together can work out a solution to either remedy the situation or mitigate the damage. Next, we're going to talk about language skills. And when I mean language skills, I'm talking about the English language. So when you walk into that law office, attorneys are going to expect you to know legal terminology, especially terms that are used across all areas of law, like depositions or interrogatories. Not only that, the legal profession is full of written materials. You're going to be reading case law, depositions, letters written by attorneys, things like that, and you may come across vocabulary words that you're not familiar with. Don't skip over them. If you don't understand what the word is or you've never seen it before, look it up. Expand your vocabulary. When I was an attorney, all of my paralegals had a pocket dictionary on their desk. Learn to dominate the English language. You'll be glad you did. Now let's talk about technology skills. Okay, I can tell you from personal experience, not all lawyers are computer savvy, okay? A lot of times lawyers are going to depend on their paralegals to know how to work their computers. So what I can tell you, in today's market, computer skills are some of the most sought after paralegal skills that paralegals can possess. So most law firms do use Windows and Microsoft Office, so you need to know these programs. You need to know how to use Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, and Outlook. You want to make sure that you learn the shortcuts and the nuances of these programs. Organizational skills. You know, it's not that hard to be organized, especially if you just keep a calendar on your desk and a to-do list. Make sure that you calendar all appointments, court appearances, and filing deadlines. Even you can put on your calendar phone calls that you need to make. You should also keep a to-do list, a daily list of what you need to do that day. Also, you can keep it for weekly and even monthly tasks. You want to make sure that you're going to update your calendar and your to-do list every single day. So the first thing you should do when you get to the office, make sure you look at that calendar and to-do list. And the last thing you should do before you leave, look at your calendar, look at your to-do list. Next, make sure you file paperwork. You know that legal research project that you spent so many hours working on, or a client brought in some really important documents? They're useless unless you can retrieve them quickly and easily. And finally, keep a clean and orderly desk. Your attorney will thank you for it. So next, let's talk about interpersonal skills. And I think this is something that's not talked about enough. Now, we know you have to get along with people. And when you're working in an office, you're going to have to get along with lawyers, you're going to have to get along with the other paralegals, other coworkers, clients, and of course, even court personnel. So I can't tell you how important it is to develop those people skills. And I tell everyone, you should start by networking. And you can start networking as a student, building those contacts. If you have those contacts as a student, they can help you if you miss a class, or you don't understand an assignment, or you simply just don't understand what an instructor was trying to teach you. You know, over the 25 years that I've been in the legal profession, I still utilize contacts I made in law school. And I have used my contacts not only to help me understand a particular point of law, but sometimes just maybe try to learn how to do a simple filing procedure. But it's also helped me hire other attorneys and hire paralegals. And it certainly has helped me to find that job. So here at Cal, we have a wonderful alumni network that our graduates can utilize for the duration of their career. Don't underestimate how important it is to develop those people skills. That way you'll be able to cultivate strong, lasting relationships. And lastly, let's talk about attitude. We've all heard attitude is everything. So be willing to do whatever your attorney asks you. Be willing to do different things, even if you don't have experience doing it. and make sure you're willing to answer those phones and make copies. So to sum it up, 4 words a lawyer loves to hear a paralegal say is, how can I help? And 4 words a lawyer hates to hear a paralegal say is, that's not my job. So I really hope the information I've given you has been helpful, and I hope that I didn't scare you away from wanting to work with lawyers. So with that being said, I'm going to turn the program back over to you, James.
Thank you, Elaine. What you've heard so far is a little bit about the paralegal education, the paralegal profession itself, and a lawyer's perspective. I want to go back to paralegal, the profession itself, just for a little bit. One thing I didn't touch on earlier that I wanted to was how you can advance as a paralegal. I mentioned earlier that you all may be here for many different reasons, many different stages of your career. But one of the great things about this profession that's changed here in the recent past is the ability to advance, where previously if you were the secretary, if your boss advanced, you may or may not. But today, a paralegal can go from being a paralegal to a manager paralegal to a law office administrator. You could specialize in a particular area of law and become a subject matter expert in processing certain types of cases. Or you could, like Elaine, become a paralegal and then decide to continue your education and go on and become the attorney. If you do, you do with your eyes wide open, knowing why you're going to law school, what you want to study, and what you hope to do before you invest 3 years and $100,000. But also today, with the paralegal, there are also horizontal paths of advancement. There are legal kindred types of positions that you can go into with the skill sets learned in a paralegal training program. In the personal injury realm, you could go into being a claims adjuster. In real estate, you could be a title clerk. You could be a contract specialist. You could be a patent agent. And even if you're in management or at executive level, you're the ones who are going to be utilizing, in many cases, attorney services. So it might behoove you to know what they're supposed to know when you're calling upon them for services. So there's a lot of different ways you can go with this occupation. There's a lot of different opportunities. But it all starts out with getting the proper training. And as Doug went over the 2 programs that we have, and which one is an Associate Applied Science for Paralegal Studies, the other is a Certificate for College Graduates. Why is it that way? It's just the way that the occupation has developed in the training. But what it's come down to is what you need to work as a paralegal today, what the standard has become if you want to become certified through National Association of Legal Assistants or registered through NFPA, or some of the states have state registrations and certification processes. But almost without exception, what the education criteria is completion of a program that consists of between 18 and 24 semester hours of legal specialty training with X number of hours of general study and a degree. So students here at the Center for Advanced Legal Studies either enter with a 4-year degree and earn a certificate for college graduates, or they earn the Associate Applied Science in Paralegal Studies. Either of those credentials will allow you to meet or exceed any education criteria that currently exist in the U.S. Now, when you're evaluating paralegal training programs, you're going to find a wide variety. You have unaccredited certificate programs, accredited certificate programs, associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees, even master's degrees. Surprisingly enough, regardless of the level of that degree, as long as they meet that 18 to 24 semester hour, preferably 24, and if you're in California, that's where that specific number comes from, and it includes a degree, it should allow you to meet or exceed any criteria that currently exist. What makes the Center for Advanced Legal Studies different and stands out amongst the other programs that are out there is that we're the only accredited private school that focuses only on paralegal education, has been in business for over 25 years, and we don't have any other priorities. We're not part of a big corporate school system. We're not part of a public school system. We do one thing, we do it well, and we focus on quality. What our objective is for our graduates, once they complete, to be able to go to the workforce. We want to produce paralegals for the market so they can go out there and meet the needs of the industry today. And the way we do that is by recruiting quality applicants into our program and then equipping them with the knowledge, skills, and ability and the attitude, as Ms. Proppas had mentioned, to be successful out there. And as a result, we have produced over 5,000 graduates from the Center for Advanced Legal Studies over the life of the school. And the way that we continue to move is in a quality fashion, and it's our co-founders who the school is independently owned and operated. They work here on a daily basis, ensuring quality in everything we do, from admissions and the type of individual that we bring in and evaluate for admission into the program, to the instructors. All of our instructors here are licensed attorneys who are working in areas of law in which they teach. So with that, if you apply for the center and you are accepted, what you're going to receive is hands-on interactive training. And that's true whether or not you're going to be going to school online or at our campus here in Houston. You're going to do more than just read the material. As I mentioned, learning how to be a paralegal is something you're going to have to do repetitively. So you'll be given assignments and tasks that you're going to be performing. Your attorney instructors will treat you like an employee, the same work that they would expect of one of their paralegals. So you're building up these skill sets as you go through the training program. You get personalized attention at the Center for Advanced Legal Studies. If you're in this session tonight, you will have already been assigned an admissions advisor, and that would be myself, Ms. Elaine Proppas, or Mr. Doug Walker. When you go through the admissions process, they will work with you. The first step would be to schedule a consultation either on campus or online with your admissions advisor. If you're accepted into the program, then they will become your student advisor and work with you to make sure that things beyond your control don't keep you from being successful. But you also have the attention of your instructors, because we have a low student to faculty ratio, about 15:1 per class. So again, whether it's online or on campus, you'll have direct access to your attorney instructors. If you think about how much an attorney makes per hour, it's a pretty good deal. But again, our objective is to make sure you have the skill sets that you need. With job placement, and the reason we have to do that is upon completion, it's more than just earning a credential. What we want to do is be able to assist you in moving into the workplace. And with that, we have Tina Ganabadi, who is our Director of Career Services. Her only job here at the Center for Advanced Legal Studies is to assist our graduates in gaining employment as a paralegal. When you schedule your individual consultation with your admissions advisor, they'll explain exactly how that works, how resume development works, and things of that nature. But also, you have a professional, knowledgeable staff here. Everyone at the Center for Advanced Legal Studies, almost without exception, has or is working in the legal profession. So you have attorneys who have either worked as paralegals or have paralegals working for them. I have experience as a paralegal, and most of the other folks you'll find on our staff have previous legal experience, which means, you know, and every dollar you invest here is allocated for paralegal education. We don't have any other priorities. We only do one thing, and the goal is to do it as well as we can. What are the next steps? And hopefully you're able to get enough information here today to get a good idea of, you know, do you want to be a paralegal? And you already had that interest when you came here. The second is, can the Center for Advanced Legal Studies help equip you with the knowledge and skills? As I mentioned earlier, you have that desire to move forward. The Center for Advanced Legal Studies, our mission would be to give you the knowledge, skills, so that when you go to the workforce, you're going to be confident in your skill sets and can stand out amongst your peers to get the job or advance in a position that you're already in. But the first thing that we would need to do to start that process is schedule a meeting with an admissions advisor. That would either be in a consultation in the online classroom such as this, but it would be individually, so we can go into your personal circumstances. What have you got going on? What are your needs to enable you to move forward? What are your goals and objectives? Where do you want to be upon completion of the program? We'll explore all of these to make sure that the Center for Advanced Legal Studies is going to be a right fit for you. You're going to be a right fit for our programs. If we decide that's the case, then you would be offered an application for admission, and then you would proceed with that process. And with that, that's the presentation we have for this evening. Now what I'd like to do is open it up to questions. If you have any particular questions about the paralegal profession, paralegal education, or our programs, what I invite you to do is raise your hand, and if you look over to the left or just below where you see me in the camera, you have a place for a little hand that you may raise. Then I'll call upon you, and you may type the question in, or if you would like, just type a question in, and I'll do my best to catch it and answer it for you. Okay, Ms. Meredith, what questions do you have, ma'am? That you need any type of previous degree. That's a good question. And I think one of the, as I mentioned, for paralegal education, what you need to do is complete a program that consists of between 18 and 24 semester hours of legal specialty training and a degree. So again, students either enter with a 4-year degree or they leave with a 2-year degree. What your degree in does not matter as much today. Believe it or not, your 4-year degree is kind of a union card. You can have, you know, for some positions, if you have it, you can apply for the position. If you're not, you need not do that. But paralegal education is similar to nursing. You can have a 2-year nurse or a 4-year nurse. The question is, can you nurse? Can you get the IV needle where it's supposed to be? For students who want, if they are in our associate degree program and want to go on and get a bachelor's degree, I recommend that they do it from 3 different perspectives. One, if you want to add something that's going to add to your skill sets. If you're interested in going to law office management, a management degree may be desired. If you're doing it just to get the degree, then you get one that you can get in something that you enjoy. If you're doing it to satisfy requirements for law school, then you get it as quickly and as low cost as you can to move forward, because most of your skill sets are going to be from the paralegal training that you would have received here. So the discipline is not as important unless you want to go into a particular area of law. If you want to go into, for example, intellectual property, a chemistry background may be helpful. So it depends on what you want to do, but for the occupation in general, they're more concerned about your paralegal skill sets than a particular discipline in a degree. Okay, Meredith, I have your question. You're located in Tennessee and have been working as a legal assistant since February, and this will be your first degree. What are the best steps to take to become a paralegal? And what I would recommend, you've taken the first step, Meredith. I mean, paralegals started out, you know, they went from the scribe to the typist to the assistant to and today the paralegal. And the things that I mentioned earlier in the discussion are things that have changed that occupation. So you're doing the right thing by gaining experience. That's what attorneys want to see. But to progress, at some point, you're going to have to get the formal education. If you, because you're going to hit a roadblock with that, where either you're able to have, you want to move to another position or advance within your current organization. And without the formal training, that may be difficult to do. So at some point, and I would advise sooner than later, that you obtain the standard credential, which means either an Associate Applied Science and Paralegal Studies or a certificate for college graduates. Sylvia or Marilyn asked, what are the earning potentials with no experience, however, with earned advanced degrees? The earning potential as a paralegal, I mean, it's fairly diverse. I mean, for a paralegal, the average salary is between $40 and $60 if you look at the Department of Labor. But what you make as a paralegal can vary greatly because it depends on the size law firm you're in. You could be in a small, medium, or large firm. You could be working in a corporate setting. You could be working in a government setting. In the government, you could be, you know, city, county, or federal. So each of those areas are going to have different earning potential. So it depends on where you're at in your career and what you're wanting to do. I was reading a salary survey today from a publication called Paralegal Today, and believe it or not, the salaries range from $28,000 all the way up to $118,000. And the reason for it is just a very diverse occupational field. And the day in the life of a paralegal depends on where you're working. Are you working in family law? Are you working in intellectual property? Are you working in real estate? Are you working in a legal kindred type of position? And all those will have different income levels. But if you talk to schedule an appointment with an admissions advisor, we can go in more detail with the statistics that we have available. We can give you specific statistics on the earning potential or the average earning of our graduates over the past several years. So that's something that's going to change a little bit. Marilyn asked, what about the starting salary? Again, depends on where you're at. The average is 40 to 60. I can say for our graduates, last reporting period was around 37. The question is, if you're out of state, will the Center for Advanced Legal Studies help you set up an internship? It's actually an externship, and absolutely, for our associate degree students, it's currently required. We're looking at a curriculum change to make that an optional. However, as I mentioned earlier, the Director of Career Services, Tina Ganavati, will assist you once you get into the realm. When you're getting close to graduation, we're going to provide individual assistance. And the way it works is you identify firms, opportunities in your area. If you're not in the Houston metropolitan or surrounding areas, and Tina Ganavati will employ similar tactics and strategies that she does here in Houston, where she'll be contacting the hiring manager, marketing your skill sets. But it's something y'all will do in tandem. Y'all have to work together. And again, with when you go through your admissions consultation, we have a pretty neat and robust virtual resume that will be prepared during your time in school, and one of the three of us will show you exactly how that works during your individual consultation. Okay, do we have any other questions? Those are some very good questions that you've had. Do we have any other questions out there? Are evening classes available for students who choose on-campus option? Actually, unfortunately, not right now. We had to make a strategy decision on that. We offered evening courses for a long time, but when we switched to the online interactive format, we found that it worked quite well. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once the students did, we felt and believed it was just as effective as students who were on campus, but they weren't having to drive in. In the evening classes, they were not getting home till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. So we've moved all the local students to the online interactive format. And we can talk to you the reasons for that in more detail again, but we are considering some other options in the future, but right now it's either online interactive or you come on campus where you come 4 days a week. You see. Cynthia asks, what happens if you fail a course? You have to retake it, obviously. One of the things that is unique about the Center for Advanced Legal Studies, we have A, B, C's, and F's. We do not have D's. You have to remember, again, this is skill-based. You're adding a vocation to the academic piece of it. We have to be confident in your skill sets. We're going to assist you in gaining employment. We're going to present you to potential employers. If you're a graduate of the program, we want to make sure you have those skills. If you barely make it through, you probably don't, so we need to redo them. But I can assure you that most individuals who fail a class, it's very, very rarely is it a lack of ability. It's more of a discipline issue. As long as you're in class, doing your assignments and your projects and your readings, you're going to be successful, and we'll do all we can to assist you in that process. If you're not in class, not doing your assignments, not turning things in, that's when you start to run into a little bit of trouble. What is the toughest part about the paralegal profession? Dealing with lawyers, Elaine. I think for me, I've done it for over 27 years, and Elaine is correct, and she says, personal skills and attitude. Just from my perspective is that attorneys, they're thinking about a lot of different things. They have a lot of different things going on, and they're always certain that their case is going to settle. But if it doesn't, and then you have to go to trial, well, they're going to prepare at the last minute in some cases, but you as the paralegal better have prepared well in advance so that when they have a question or their hair's on fire and it's time to go, you have all the answers and all the information in order that they need. That's what you're paying them to do. They're paying you to do. is take care of all those incidentals, keeping everything organized so that they can concentrate on the bigger issues. So learning to work with your attorney, learning to understand their likes, their dislikes, their expectations. And as you get different attorneys, they're always going to be different. But our job is to ask, how can I help? And we never ever say that's not my job. Fastest growing area in the paralegal profession, that changes with the economy and what's going on. Obviously, and it's geographical as well. With the shale oil and gas and different things of that nature going on here in the Houston market and some others, that's becoming a greater need. You might be, with looming changes in immigration and so forth, that could be a growing area. With all the health care reform and things that have been going on there, we've all heard about in the news. There's going to be individuals in compliance, out of compliance. That's a potential growth area. But if you think about it, every segment of our economy is going to utilize legal services. So, and that's going to be continuously changing. So what I would say is if you look at the statistics that are out there, it's been relatively healthy. And I don't think the need for legal services is going to go away. It's going to get more robust. I don't think the need for paralegals is going to go away. I think it's going to get more robust. The reasons that I mentioned that the occupation is growing is because you can make a practice more efficient and profitable by using the attorney. So if I have a practice and it's going to grow or need more staffing, I can hire another attorney who wants to become partner, share in the profits, and can make independent decisions. Or you can hire a paralegal or two who can't become partner, can't share in the profits, and have to bring all the decisions to an attorney. So one attorney can leverage a whole lot more work. And then when you get more work, then you bring on another attorney with another couple of paralegals. So what it's about is making it more efficient. And then also, as I think, when we have more regulations and so forth, you can have more of these legal kindred types of positions as well. They're not specifically paralegal, but they use a lot of the paralegal skill sets. How much weight does a paralegal certificate hold in terms of law school applications? I don't know that it does. I mean, it's been my experience, and Lane may know better than I, but it's been my experience because I considered going to law school, and we've had quite a few students who've gone on to law school. I believe the things that help you with law school application, the number one thing that a law school is going to look for is an LSAT score. If you have a low LSAT score, you're going to have more difficulty getting into the better programs. But they are going to look at what you've done and look at recommendations that you have. So if you're working as a paralegal, working with attorneys who are going to recommend you to a school, that is certainly going to give you the advantage. But I think the best thing that working as a paralegal before applying to law school will do for you is that will allow you to know you want to be an attorney. The time to find out that you don't want to be an attorney should not be the third year of law school after you spent $100,000. At that point, it's not a matter of do I want to make six figures, it's a matter of I have to, because you may have a mortgage-sized student loan following you. So, in the paralegal career, as it's progressed and as it's matured, there's a lot of opportunities. Certainly you're not going to make as much as some of the attorneys make. However, not all attorneys make a whole lot of money. So it might behoove you to become a paralegal and work in the industry first, and then make that decision again with your eyes wide open if that's the path of advancement for you. We have about 10 minutes left. We're going to be done at 8 o'clock. Okay, Amanda. Do we have any final questions? And Cynthia, have all your questions been answered? Okay, wonderful, wonderful. All right, if there are no more questions, then what's going to happen next is you will receive an email tomorrow we have a class that's starting on November 18th, and it takes a little bit of time to get you through the process. So what I recommend is that you, when you get that email, give you the opportunity to let us know when the best time is to contact you or when you're available for an appointment. And we work basically Monday, Tuesday, Thursday up until 7. We have late hours. Wednesday and Fridays it will be from 9 to 4, and then we have Saturday appointments from 9 to 1. During your individual consultation, your admissions advisor will take all the time we need to make sure we get all the information that you need so that you can make that informed decision and move forward. Or if you would like, if you have an immediate question that wasn't answered tonight, I think something's more specific or personal and you need answered, feel free to email me. My email address is there, or Ms. Propis, or Mr. Doug Walker. And with that, everybody have a great evening, and I thank you for participating.